If you just
And my
moved,
old
Dustin.
lady that's beating up my subs
Bro,
has been a wild day.
do you want to talk about that at all?
We can. It's been crazy. We still don't understand what actually happened. We don't know.
I mean,
But like,
but you know that she physically assaulted somebody?
she got in one of their faces and literally took her two fingers and jammed him in a guy's nose, like hit him in the nose with her hand. And
No,
he's like 6'3", 250, and she's like 5'6", 110.
no, we'll leave all that in there. Well, welcome to Ask Mike Anything, everybody. We're off to a bang here with this. This is an incredible story. Nate has had some of the most wild customer stories over the last couple of years about just crazy, just I want to call them outliers, Nate, but they don't feel like outliers anymore.
It's a regular occurrence.
But I don't know of a two-finger PowerPoint to the nose. I'm not sure I've heard this one. So like, what do you know about the situation at this point?
Okay, so the situation is this morning I get a call from my project manager dealing with the job. He's like, Nate, I just want to let you know what's going on. He's like, our floor and sub Chad was out at the job site Friday measuring for the floor because they're coming out this week to install the flooring on this like mother-in-law's addition, this whole separate house we built at this place. And she's like this little sweet 75 plus year old woman. And Chad says, and he's a big man. He said that she came up to him and was yelling at him, and he kept deferring and answering her questions, and she was just super upset. And she finally got to the point that she got in his face and took two fingers and stabbed him in the nose, like hit him in the nose with her fingers. And due to this assault, where this huge man has been assaulted by this little woman, they want like 10% more money and full payment up front before they'll, do the job next week. And so I don't know. I don't even really know what she was upset about, but we've just told her that she can no longer be on the job site while we have subs there because she can't keep her hands to herself. This is real. This is real adult world.
I just, it's like, what would lead somebody to believe that that's even okay?
Well, our
That's a
plumber was
part.
there and she was yelling at him too. And then he saw that altercation happen. So there's also like a witness who is also a rather large man. So you have two large men and this little bitty old woman. And she's in there just
I
going
mean,
at him. And we
takes
don't understand
PowerPointing
why.
to a whole new level.
Yeah, we don't know
I mean,
why. We don't know if we should like praise her and maybe hire her to keep subs in line or like this is a. We don't know.
That
We don't have
sounds like
enough
an
information.
HR nightmare, Nate. That sounds like an HR
I'm just
nightmare.
so, trying to figure that one out. Navigate the. This is my first client assaulted my sub kind of event. I don't know what to do.
They don't teach you that in the handbook. Like,
We're all going to sit in a circle and we'll use the talking stick and we'll vent out our issue. We will get on the same page by 5 o'clock today.
I just don't. The nerve of some people.
I don't understand it because this design build, like the plan set, it's not like there's anything to argue about.
I'm just
So
interested
I
to
don't
see
know.
what she says about it when you have to have that conversation.
Well, I'll get an update on that in about an hour, so I will let you know.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that. All right, let's get into the questions today so we can stay on topic. Again,
No,
guys, we got a little bit
joke.
different process today. Say again.
Got to do the dad joke. I got a good one
I
today.
forgot about the dad joke. That felt like a dad joke.
It might as well have been, but I've got to stay on the princess theme for this dad joke. Are you ready?
Let it go.
Why was Cinderella bad at soccer?
Why was Cinderella bad at soccer? I mean, is it because she forgot her shoes?
That's a pretty good one. Good
I
try.
feel like that's close. No,
you get a gold star for effort.
What do you got, Mia? You ain't got this one, Miss. Oh, she was dying on the last week's episode. Couldn't wait to tell me the answer. What's the answer?
She kept running away from the ball.
I thought the no shoes thing was going to be close. I felt like that was a fair guess. Man, at some point, we're going to need to do like a full episode of just all the dad jokes, just back to back.
I keep a list of them, so we're ready.
No, we just record, just edit all of them together.
Yep. I mean, do a highlight reel of dad jokes.
Do a highlight reel of dad jokes. Sorry, the 110-pound lady PowerPointing somebody in the
Oh,
nose felt like a dad joke.
random comment about the dad joke segment. Just thought you should know. One of our clients reached out to me about our dad joke, and he gave me a dad joke. And he thanked me for doing the dad jokes segment because his son loves dad jokes, and it's been a way for him and his son to connect over like a positive podcast.
Well, that's cool.
That's pretty cool. I thought that was cool.
Things you don't assume or think will happen when you start doing content like this is like, that's pretty cool. And that's on you, buddy. That was your idea. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it's my idea.
Yeah,
It's
that's
winning.
awesome.
That's a win today.
That's a huge win. Making an impact every conversation at a time.
Right.
Okay. First question.
Hey, Mike, this is Gary Guyman. My question is, what was your biggest win this month? And then add on to that, do you celebrate every win, or do you pick and choose which wins you're celebrating so it doesn't get your rah-rah every time you win? Look forward to hearing the answer.
All right. So, I mean, the biggest win to date, I mean, it's or month to date. I think the WinRate app. Like, I mean, we're really, really close to getting this thing ready to go to market, and at least our client base first. And so it's a win to see that come to fruition. Like most technology builds, we're a little over budget and a little over deadline, but I mean, that was to be expected. But honestly, the team that we're working with has done an incredible job, and I'm really excited about the product we're putting out. So I say that's the win of the month. And then, so I think from a celebrating the wins, I believe the celebration needs to match the size of the win. But celebrate all of them. And what I mean by that is at least recognize the wins, right? Like when we talked about previous episodes, like just getting your sauna done. Like I created like a 20-point checklist on Sunday a couple weeks ago. So just like, I want to feel productive today. I'm going to get these things checked off. And the win was just getting the list checked off. And part of it was sauna, part of it was cold plunge, part of it was outline our initiatives for Q2. There's like business stuff, bigger stuff, smaller stuff, but recognize them as a win. I think so few people, that's like, we're either going out and getting drunk and partying, or we're ignoring it completely. There's like no middle ground to celebrate the win. And sometimes even just sharing the win, like having a common person or a peer group or somebody that you're like, hey man, I just want to share this win. Sometimes just acknowledging it as a win and sharing it celebrates it, because it tells the universe, it tells it tells God, tells the universe, tells whatever, that you appreciate the wins and you want more of them. When you don't respect or appreciate them, I truly believe that like the wins get stolen from you because you didn't appreciate it when you had it. And so I think every win should be celebrated, but the celebration should match the size of the accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think people recognize or celebrate the little wins with little celebrations often enough. I think if more people did that, we'd have a lot less depressed people out there.
No, for sure.
So what's your biggest one of the month? And then how do you celebrate, or at all?
Biggest one of the month for March, I think. So today our like morning babysitter started, and that's a huge win to alleviate some load off my wife's plate. So that's a big win for us as a family unit, to find someone that we trust with our kid, which is tough to do. And that's going to be in our house every day. So that's pretty cool. That's my win. And celebrating the wins, I honestly tie a lot of my targets to like rewards to celebrate intentionally. So like, like I'm about to get this new coffee machine, and I've got a target for like my trading goal for the week. And if I hit that target, I'm gonna buy this $400 coffee pot to put in my kitchen. That's sexy and makes it where I can have 2 cups of coffee with the push of one button, and it'd be sexy. Um, yeah, but so I tie it to like a target. Like a lot of times the things I want, like I'm very good at delayed gratification. So
Mm-hmm.
I like to tie things I want, instead of just going and buying it, because I obviously could buy a $400 coffee machine if I want to, tying it to some kind of performance metric helps keep me, in line with my goals and things like that. But that's a little win. That's not a huge target for a week. And, but the big things, celebrate the big targets, celebrate the little things. Uh, you know, with my coaching clients, I always go over like, what's some wins from the last 2 weeks? And it could be anything, like,
Yep.
if you got up every morning, like you said you would for 2 weeks and you've never done that before, huge win, right?
Huge win.
Let's celebrate just hitting the target mark of
Yeah,
whatever
and
that
don't
target's.
celebrate by like sleeping in tomorrow. Like,
Correct. Yes. Let's not break what we've done by celebrating in the wrong way.
Yeah, it's like I've dieted perfectly for 2 weeks. Let's go have pizza and beer. Like I used to do that shit all the
Been
time.
sober for 30 days. Let's go out tomorrow night.
Yeah. But I think also, and maybe this just listening to you right now, like I don't view materialistic stuff the same like I used to. Because I can't just pretty much go buy whatever I want, right?
Correct.
For the most part, right? I'm not Ed Milet buying islands off the coast of America, but like,
but
within
like, reason, regular
yeah.
wealth.
If I need it or I want it, like I can pretty much go get it. And so my accomplishments in celebrating things have been more experiential, like going on a trip or date nights or, having a good meal with my family and, finding ways to like tie an experience to the celebration. Even family of choice, even having you and Lydia in town is like a way for me to celebrate some wins and give myself an opportunity to, just enjoy time with my family of choice. Right. And so, I don't set as much materialistic accomplishment targets anymore. I get your point of like, I'll wait till Friday, but like, are you really going to not buy it if you don't hit the target?
Oh no, I really will.
Yeah.
Because I missed my target last week and I didn't buy it.
Okay. I mean, I don't have that level of self-discipline.
It's part of my game. I like play with myself, but travel is actually probably my biggest reward. So like a long time ago, I had a target if I day trade and make 10,000 in one day. Lydia and I will go that weekend to the Atlanta Aquarium.
Yeah.
For like 2 days and just hang out in Atlanta for 2 days. So primarily that's our like bigger celebration is we travel, family of choice.
You're just trying to find a way to punish her to like suffer right now and delay gratification just to do it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I love it. But I would say like, I'm less materialistic now than I used to be, for sure.
Yeah, my list, the whole what I want activity has shifted a lot more to like family oriented, travel oriented, experience oriented.
If you look at like my vision board, it's a lot more like pictures of groups of people and dinners and travel and, adventure stuff more than materialistic things. So,
for sure. Because like your kids don't care if you have a Challenger or a Lamborghini. It don't make a difference to them. They don't care.
No, they just want to drive the RC car in the
care.
mud. Like they just
correct. That's can we put the RC car in the back of it and go to the RC car place? That's
correct.
The question.
Cool. Well, I mean, look,
for sure.
I do promote, if you're listening right now, to set some targets and give yourself some accomplishments for doing it. I've seen the alternative work as well, where there is a downside to not completing it. I've seen people write checks to organizations and like that they don't want to send money to. And if they don't accomplish the goal, the check gets sent. So it's almost like a downside to lack of completion as opposed to an upside of completion. And you just got to look at how important is this goal to you and what is the most motivating factor to make it happen. But I would say recognize and celebrate the wins, but sometimes it's the opposite that actually gets the goal accomplished.
Okay, so that's huge. In psychology, you're either one or the other. You're either avoid pain motivated or you're reward prize motivated. And so, whichever one you are as your primary motivator is how you could structure your performance. Like if I mess up, I write this check, that's painful. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to achieve this goal versus if I achieve that, I'll get the prize. But if you're not prize motivated, it doesn't actually
it's not going to get you over the hump.
Right. There's those two pathways of self-motivation as far as reward or pain, punishment.
We're a little down the rabbit hole. Gary, I hope that answered your question, Gary. All right,
this
next
is
question.
all about rabbit holes, Mike.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
Hey guys, my question is, how do I get out of my own way to start living to my full potential? And nothing has brought that up more than sitting down trying to record this freaking recording for the show, because imposter syndrome, not being able to get it out of my head properly, because inside my head, all of it sounds amazing. Like, I think about how I want to explain my question and what it means to me, and inside my head, I can put all the pieces together. But then when I try to verbally speak it, the pieces don't come out like they are in my head. And so I fight with that constantly. Some days are better than others, and then getting to my full potential. Has it improved in the past year? Yes, but up to this point, I still struggle with that probably more than anything. I know there's more potential there. I can feel it at times, and then times like this just really eat me up on the inside. So anyway, how do I get past that? How do I start moving forward with that? Because this happens in all areas of my life. It happens with my relationships. It happens with my business. And so I want to build on that and learn how to get that out, and what's in my head, get it out into the public. So anyway, that's what I got. Have a great one.
I mean, I would say he accomplished the goal by even getting it done. Like, that's the first step, right?
He did it.
I mean, I'll let you start on this one, Nate. I mean, you're somebody who I think has reimagined what success looks like to him, but you obviously, like, you're never in your own head, man. Like, you're so even keeled, but I know you haven't always been that way. So, like, what's your approach to that question?
Man, that's tough. Get out of your own way. I actually talked about that today. I think, well, one for me, making decisions or already having decided something and hesitating to do it. So I've just quit hesitating. I don't need all the information. I've accepted that and I just take action. So action for me helps me get out of my own way. It's just, let's just do it, even though I'm nervous and scared. I think exploring things that do push that edge for you and expanding your comfort zone is going to be huge. For me, well, you've been working with me for 3 years now, or 2.5 years, however long, and getting me to start doing social was like a pain point, like just getting out of my own way on that. Let's just specifically that for me was a struggle because I would listen to it, edit it myself, overanalyze, needed to have that perfection mindset. So I think like I see this a lot with A-type intellects that are like they're super intelligent and they understand it cerebrally, but they can't get it out. They can't just do. They overanalyze, analysis paralysis, all these things. So I think getting to a place you can take action on less information is key. And then for me, journaling out a lot of things like why I feel that way, and then doing the reps in private. So for getting out on social, I've probably recorded 1,000 videos that the world will never see that I've watched back myself and critiqued and been like, you know what, like you suck, and get all that out of my system, and then just start posting stuff. And I'm doing that this year, and it's getting
Incredibly well.
easier. It's getting easier for real. And so I don't know. There's a lot in that. I think getting to know yourself and spending some like serious time internally, and self dialogue, introspection, journaling for me, and working through a lot of that is huge to start letting a lot of that potential out. And then having someone that, you share parts of that with, that give you permission to move forward. Like, after coaching was the big breakthrough. I talked about that this morning on Instagram. Was like, after I got a coach and the coach said, hey, you can do that stuff that you're already thinking about. It's like, I can, what? And then just changed my whole fucking life. Like, it makes no sense, but that's what it took for me. Right. And so,
Yeah, that borrowed
I don't know.
confidence, that permission to try, it's definitely
Yeah,
valuable.
correct. What do you
So
think?
I think self-awareness is very key, but I'm gonna give two very tactical things that, because like this is what I do for a living, right? Is pull people's
Yeah.
potential out of them. Right. I mean, you're a
Right.
great example of that, right? And what you just described is part of that. But first is, I believe that individual, he didn't introduce himself, so I'm not going to say his name, but I believe that he struggles with like ambiguity. I want to reach my potential, but there's no clarity as to what that is. So like you don't ever know where you are on the journey to accomplish that. I'm huge on KPIs and metrics and data to understand like what does it look like to get there? Where am I on the journey? What do I need to do, or who do I need to become to get to that outcome? And so I think like if you're looking at how do I get people out of their own head, typically it's a matter of helping them see how close they actually are and actually how small they're dreaming, right? Because most people are closer to their current potential than they realize because their current potential in their mind is so low. Like they dream small. They don't believe as much as they don't believe they're capable of everything that they're actually capable of. And so, first is defining your potential. What does that look like? When you say I want, how do I reach for my potential? Well, what is it? You can't reach for air. It needs to be something you can grab. It needs to be defined and it needs to have metrics and it needs to have an image and it needs to have, something that you can like bite your teeth into and say, I know when I've got it. Not just ambiguity and I want to be better. What does that mean?
Yeah.
But then second, where I think the most breakthroughs happen is when you start to unpack the layers of what are you afraid of? And like you ask yourself why, right? 3 times. Like, what are you afraid of? Well, why is that important? Or why does that scare you? Or why does that matter to you? And you go down the rabbit hole, you tend to get to an answer that you can actually overcome. So there's a lot of times getting people to take action, whether it's firing people, hiring people, investing money, paying off debt, taking the action. It typically comes down to fear. I don't think it's typically lack of self-belief as much as it is fear of the unknown or fear of the known, like fear of like the track record you have of failing at everything you've tried before, which we all have, but you think that you're different. And so your failures are different. But we all fail like most of the time. But I think if you can clearly define what your potential means to you, like what does it look like? What do you have? How do you sound? What do you look like? And then truly start to unpack the fear. That's the self-awareness that you were kind of talking about earlier. But like specifically saying, well, what am I afraid of by putting out this content? What am I afraid of by wanting more? What am I afraid of by trying harder? What am I afraid of by hiring this person or firing this person? And like you journal, I'm more of an audible video person. Like I'll voice record my thoughts sometimes. My handwriting is terrible. So like I can't even read it back if I tried. So like I'm a voice record guy. And typically when I hear myself say something, I'm able to objectively coach myself as opposed to keeping it in my head. So I would say like if you can unpack the layers of what you're afraid of, it tends to get to something that you can visualize yourself overcoming, or you can see that it's not as important as you thought it was. And it takes the power away from the fear. But I'd say those are 2 things. If you're struggling, like reaching for more, reaching your potential, or being better at anything, define what better means to you and then ask yourself, what are you afraid of? And then like ask yourself why, 3 or 4 times. What are you afraid of? Well, why does that matter? Well, why is that important? Well, what happens like in the what's and whys is really it allows you to self-diagnose down the rabbit hole. And then it also allows you to say like how realistic is that fear? Like how realistic is it? I'll use buying a house. Me is in the journey of deciding whether or not she wants to buy a house or not. He's like, what's your biggest fear? That like, I might not be able to afford it. Well, why does that matter? People lose their house all the time. Well, then people might think that I'm not mature enough to handle it. Well, why is that important? Well, I want people to respect me for who I am. Okay, great. Well, do you really believe that like you're not going to be able to support the house? Like, do you think you're not good enough to keep a job? You're like, no, of course I am. But like ultimately, like how real is the fear and how real is the problem? It typically is not as big or as real or as ugly or as scary as you've made it out to be in your head. I don't know what your aha moment was to getting the content produced, but I don't know if there was something you were afraid of, but like you've watched 1,000 of your own videos that'll never see the light of day. I have never watched or listened to a single piece of my content.
It's better that way.
Oh, no, you just put it out there. You can't, then it's just,
Now I don't listen. I record, give the whole thing to the editor. I don't even put it on the computer.
rock and
Takes care
roll,
of it.
like so much easier.
It's the greatest thing ever. Content's just going to fly out the window.
I mean, does that make sense though? Does like those 2 tactical items of like defining it and also like, understanding, like, has that worked for you? Is that something you've attempted or tried in the
No,
past?
that makes sense. Yeah. So getting clear on where I'm going, why I'm going there, the clarity of what is better, like easy on the physical side. You could have all kinds of metrics, but having something that you can measure and obtain, that's far enough away to go for. And then, yeah, journaling out, why am I afraid of that? Getting through, some of that with, like the content thing as well. Like, what's your first fear? Well, I don't want people to think I'm dumb because I identify as like a smart person.
Yep.
Well, why are you worried if people think you're dumb? Like, and then you work down the same tree. So yeah, that's exactly it. Is you process through, and you could do it. You could talk to yourself. You could do it in a mirror. You could audio record. For me, I journal out. Uh, there's a lot of ways to process through that kind of stuff, but generating that self-awareness will definitely be key.
Yeah, I think there's something about hearing yourself say something that, like, I can go back later and be like, God, you sound like a little bitch. Like,
Yeah,
just do the damn work, man. Like, come on. Like, you just sound scared. And like, that's not who I am. That's not what I want to be. So I think sometimes hearing yourself say it just makes it disempowers the excuse a lot of the time.
you realize how irrational some things are. Like,
100%.
why should I care at the performance level I'm at what 80% of the world would have to say to me? Like, I'm beyond, like, I'm
No,
already
look,
outworking them, outpacing them. So why does it
and
matter?
look at and you just your dad jokes found a way to bring a father and son together on some common ground, and you're afraid of what some idiot on the internet might think.
Correct. So
Unfair,
who cares? Like,
unfair
get over it.
comparison.
Yes.
Cool. All right, last question.
So, Mike, being a coach, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, and being a person that spends a lot of time pouring into other people, my question is, what is the one thing or what is a few things you will do just for you so that you keep your space and yourself prepared and ready to continue to pour into others? How will you pour into just yourself?
So
Good question.
that's Dustin Johnson for anybody who doesn't recognize his voice. We sat down at an event a year ago probably, and he asked me the same question. And I still suck at this. Like, I still suck at making time for myself. It was actually, so Tiff and I did our Q1 SWAT. Like, we do a family SWAT in addition to the business SWAT. We do one every quarter. One of the threats was, or one of the opportunities was her and I both having alone time, like trips, like going away for a period of time alone just to recharge. Because, like, you get done with the day, no matter what your day is, man. You got 2 kids, 7 and 4. You ain't got time for yourself, man. Like, they go to bed, then you go to bed. Like, there's no decompression that happens. I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to beat my kids up. Like, MJ's up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock most days. So, like, for me to get any quiet time where there's not somebody around, it's hard. And so, Dustin, you're right, but I don't do enough for myself to recharge, and that definitely has been a threat. It's something we've worked on. It's an opportunity that we have, Tiff and I have on our Q2 analysis or Q2 initiative list, but I think if I look at year over year from where I was a year ago, I have gotten substantially more protective of my time and my calendar space. But that's more just like, that's just removing more people that need to be poured into or that want to be poured into. That's not exactly filling it with time that pours into me. Obviously I have my morning routine. I do my meditation. I do the sauna. I do the cold plunge. I work out. But like, sitting in 195 degrees for 30 minutes is not exactly a soul filling experience. Like, it's not. It's just another place that I kind of push the boundaries of what I'm capable of. And so, Dustin, I appreciate your question, and I continue to work towards a solution, but I struggle in the category of pouring into myself. I mean, we've acknowledged it, which is a step in the right direction. We have some opportunities and some initiatives for Q2 of this year to hopefully find a way to do that, but overall I suck at that pouring into myself. What do you
It's easy to get stuck in not doing that. It's easy because you pour out, pour out, pour out, and then family, and then boom, bed, do it again tomorrow.
I mean, I struggle with the feeling of selfishness. I struggle with like I've worked all day, or I've worked a couple like long days in a row, And like, I could go downstairs to the movie room and sit by myself, but like, I feel like I'm letting the kids down because like I only have that 2 hours at night with them most days. And so the selfishness, and it's like, oh, well, Mike, just stay up later. No, like when I don't get my sleep, I'm an angry person, and so I battle severely with the feeling of selfishness when I try to take time for myself. And I generally don't know how to solve that yet.
I mean, I think another way to look at it is like the micro recharges that add up. So
Yeah.
like, like I talk to a lot of people who work on computer, trading stock market, whatever, and the little micro breaks, like you go take a 5-minute walk. So like a recharge for me, a lot of times it helps like recenter myself and take care of me. It's like give myself the mental space and go outside and play fetch with the dogs. And it's just me and 2 dogs.
Yep.
So that's been those little small walks in the yard, reconnecting with nature. Things like that have been really recharging for me. And when this comes out, I will have completed 1 year of business coaching from the coach side. So yeah, you gotta have those recharge moments because it's definitely draining to a variety of degrees all the time.
Well, and so if I had to give myself some credit here, I believe I've raised my floor to the point where I'm not draining out and pouring out to the point of pure exhaustion. Right. So
Yeah.
my cup isn't completely like beyond empty, dried out, and melting every day like it was.
Yeah.
So I've done a better job controlling the outpour of energy and giving myself the ability to be, we'll say, locked in and more energetic throughout the day. So like I believe my
Yeah.
floor has raised, but I still don't think I have like overcome the challenge of being willing to do something just for me.
Yeah.
Because I tried going to the mountains with Tiff a couple weeks ago. Fucking hated it. I sat there and
Oh
just
yeah.
like, I just hated it. And so it actually didn't do anything for me. It actually made me feel worse. So it's like the inability to let go of that selfishness steals the ability to even have moments like that pour into me.
Oh yeah. That could be tough.
Oh, and
That's a
so I'm
whole nother
trying. I
layer.
mean, I'm
Yeah.
trying. I believe I have raised my floor up to a level where I'm not as drained and empty all the time like I used to be. But I definitely don't think I have solved the problem of doing things for me that Dustin challenged me with at least a year ago.
I'm curious to his answer to some of that. What are some
I
activities
mean,
he does to pour into himself?
Dustin, send it in. What do you do,
Yeah, let us
Dustin,
know.
for yourself? He does a lot of things for himself.
He does.
Oh, yeah, his cup stays full from what
He'll have a
again,
list
outside
of us
looking
for
in, right?
this.
I'm the highlight reel of what I see about his life. Maybe I'm wrong. But everybody's in different seasons too. Like I think there are certain seasons where and like maybe this is just me making an excuse for myself. It sounds a lot actually saying this out loud, like me making an excuse for myself. But like different seasons require different amounts of energy, right? And like 2022 was a huge growth season for the company. So that got a ton of my attention. This year, I have the least amount of clients I have personally coached in probably 2 or 3 years. We have the most clients we've ever had at a company, and I'm managing like 17 employees, plus spending substantially more time with energy left with my family. Like that's the difference, right? So maybe I'm not pouring into myself as aggressively as Dustin would consider success based on the conversation we had, but I have substantial more energy for my kids at the end of the day than I had last year. And so like I'm doing something better. I may not be dedicating time just for me. Like he in his definition is like going for a bike ride by yourself, just going for a walk in the park by yourself, going and playing fetch with the dogs by yourself. Like I don't do those things.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not fully there, but I know for a fact my energy levels at the end of the day to give for my family is substantially better than it used to be.
Hey, you give yourself drips, you get a massage. Those things would count.
But it's like here, and the kids are there, and it's
Oh,
nonstop. And now I got a
true.
puppy in the mix. Chessie's my favorite. WinRate has a
Oh,
family
there's a little
puppy.
de-stress.
But I mean, I think, and again, different seasons of parenting, I think allow for different stuff as well. So again, I will give myself that sounds a lot like me just making excuses for myself. but it is something I'm working on, and I am measuring the fact that I do have a lot more energy and patience than I had a year ago. So that's a win for me.
Yeah. And that's huge.
Well,
We're going in the right direction. That's what
great
matters.
questions, guys. You know, it's cool to like have these playing. Hopefully the audience can hear them once we export these recordings. But I think if Nate can hear them, the audience should be able to. But this is fun. It's something a little different. You know, Nate,
I like it.
do you feel like your job has been taken away, or do you feel like you can have just a better overall conversation now, not having to ask the questions yourself?
I feel like our conversation is still just as good. It didn't take anything away, but I do think it feels a little more interactive hearing their voice and them explain the question,
No, I
because
think
there's
like
been some
taking a
questions I've probably glazed over because I have no clue what they're talking about.
yes. No, I think the additional context of the question is going to be
Right.
a huge additive to giving perspective. So, well, guys, ask your questions, send a DM, post on the comments or whatever, and you know, Tiff might reach out, getting you a voice note from you, so you can overthink it and record it 17 times before you send it. But as always, guys, you keep asking the questions, and I'll keep answering them so that you can win fast and win often. Appreciate it, guys.
See ya.